This is Touchdown Song, a look at music and sports. I'm Tom Hedden. I spent 19 years writing music for NFL films. In this segment, we'll talk about a kind of song that belongs to everyone who's ever gone to college, and plenty of folks who haven't. Whether you went to a Big Ten school or the Ivy League, march, march on down the field, fighting for Eli. Fight songs can stir something inside you. And the funny thing is, they stay with you.
On our rugged eastern foothills stands our symbol clear and bold.
For some reason, you remember the words.
Onward march the Brandeis Judges, fighting for victory. So it's fight on for the Brandeis Judges, striving for victory.
It's really no surprise. We hear them at some of the most exciting and important moments of our lives.
The team makes a touchdown. The band plays a fight song, and everyone sings along with it.
The fans, when they hear Hell Redskins, man, they go out of their mind. Especially when we score, they just go wild when they hear Hell Redskins.
Just like football, fight songs are American, but they come from a tradition that's much older. Loris John Schissel is a senior specialist in the music division of the Library of Congress.
It has its beginnings going way back into England with the various boys' schools, that would sing their songs. And when here in the United States, particularly when universities started, you think of our older universities, Harvard and Princeton and Yale, all had their singing societies there.
Bingo, 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 that's the lingo.
But the school songs they sang weren't about things like victory. They were mostly slow romantic songs about how beautiful the school was, or sometimes about how beautiful the girls who went to the school were. Fight songs came along later. According to Bruce Schuneman, co-author of College Fight Songs, Volumes 1 and 2.
Many of the famous ones, the ones that we know today, were written between, say, 1895 and 1925.
He and his co-author, Bill Studwell, made a list of the top 10 college fight songs. He says most of them were written within a few years of each other.
The Notre Dame Victory March, number 1, written in 1908. On Wisconsin from 1909. Anchors Aweigh, U.S. Naval Academy, 1906. The Eyes of Texas, 1903, and Across the Field from Ohio State, 1915. So they're all bunched in the early years of the 20th century.
Why did all these songs get written at exactly the same time? Well, it was a time when America was becoming a world power. It was a time when the music publishing business was booming for the first time, and you could make a lot of money writing songs. But Bruce Schuneman says there was a bigger reason.
They come out of the tremendous popularity and growth of college football in the last years of the 19th century and the first decades of the 20th century.
Football was a brand new sport in the 1890s. There was no professional football back then, so this hugely popular new game was centered entirely on the campuses of America's colleges and universities. This was also a time when marching bands were popular. Lots of colleges had them. And according to Loris John Schissel, the college fight song, the college marching band, and college football all grew up together.
When marching bands started to perform at school functions, these songs would be very much a part of that whole production.
While no one's really sure when they started to be called fight songs, Bruce Schuneman says it's easy to see why.
For one thing, the word fight is the most common word.
Make it loud and new. Fight, 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 yay! Fight for the flag we love in the western sky.
If you look through the lyrics of these, we will fight for Harvard or whatever. There's a kind of analogy to war. In fact, Texas A&M College Station, their song is called the Aggie War Hymn, so it's very specific there.
Most of the famous college fight songs have original tunes, but there's also a lot of borrowing.
The Eyes of Texas, which is sung at every University of Texas game, for example, uses the tune I've Been Working on the Railroad.
At Ohio State, they have a special song at halftime for when the band spells out Ohio in script on the field. Bruce Schuneman points out it's not an original song, but
it's a French march written by Robert Planquette in 1871.
And there's a really famous college fight song that might be taken from an older song, though Bruce Schuneman says he's not 100% sure. That's On Wisconsin. There's a lot to suggest that it comes from a Harvard fight song called Soldiers Field. Listen. Listen again to that last part. Now, here's On Wisconsin. The two songs even say fight, fight, fight in exactly the same spot. There's another funny thing about the song On Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin, written by W.T. Purdy in 1909. He actually had never set foot in Wisconsin when he wrote the song.
In fact, the original lyrics he wrote were from Minnesota. The university there was holding a contest for a new fight song, and Purdy decided to enter with a song that went, Minnesota, Minnesota, da 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 da. But at the last minute, he met a Wisconsin grad named Carl Beck.
And the rest is history. It became Wisconsin's song.
The University of Wisconsin isn't the only school to have a fight song written by someone who never went there. In the 1950s, the University of Iowa did it too, but in a way that makes a lot more sense.
You really ought to give Iowa a night, Iowa.
This is a song from The Music Man, a hit Broadway musical from 1957. It was written by Meredith Willson. According to Loris John Schissel,
after Meredith had become very famous, and probably the most famous Iowan in the world, when they came to him and said, we need a new fight song, Meredith, Meredith came up with the Iowa fight song.
Fight, fight, fight for Iowa.
Usually, though, fight songs are written by people with a real attachment to a school.
One of the music majors would write the tune, and one of the guys who had a flair for poetry would write the words, and that's very much a part of this whole tradition.
And sometimes those music majors went on to become very, very famous as adults.
I get no kick from champagne.
This is I Get a Kick Out of You, one of the most popular songs of the 1930s. It was written by Cole Porter, who also wrote Night and Day, I've Got You Under My Skin, and You're the Top. But that's not all Cole Porter wrote. One of his earliest songs, when he was a 21-year-old junior at Yale University, is this. This is Bulldog Bulldog. Cole Porter wrote it in 1911. They still sing it today at almost every game, especially when Yale plays Harvard. Of course, colleges aren't the only ones who have fight songs. Some pro teams do, too.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets.
That's Meet the Mets, the official song of the New York Mets, the baseball team. Songs like Meet the Mets are more like commercials for a new product, and most of them don't last very long. There is one exception, though.
Hail to the Redskins, hail victory.
This is Hail to the Redskins. The Washington Redskins were the first NFL team to have a marching band. They were also the first NFL team to have a fight song. It was written in 1938 when George Preston Marshall owned the team. Rod Barnes was a member of the Redskins marching band for 55 years.
Hail the Redskins was written by Barney Briskin. The lyrics was Corinne Griffith, George Preston Marshall's wife.
Remember that we said a lot of fight songs didn't use original tunes. They took tunes from other songs. Same thing here. And according to Rod Barnes, the original song that Hail to the Redskins came from might surprise you.
Hail the Redskins was really Jesus Loves Me. So yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. For the Bible tells me so.
Fight songs are there to make you feel school spirit or team spirit. They make you feel like you belong, like you're part of something that's bigger than yourself.
10,000 men of Harvard won victory today.
So whether it's college or the pros, when your team scores, belt out the fight song. It'll make you feel good.
So then we'll conquer, all leaders men, and when the game ends, we'll sing again. 10,000 men of Harvard.
Thanks for listening. I'm Tom Hedden for Arts Edge, a program of the Education Department at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts.